All right, we are back with Mayor Trace Johannesen. We are going to do a after show.
After dark.
After dark show. We're anxious to hear Trace's thoughts on the podcast and what your thoughts of the mayor were and the mayor candidates and
yeah, Billy, this is a post game, right?
Right. That's what we call it, post game.
Post game.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's good. What did y'all think?
You know, I thought it was great. I loved I know that they disagreed. I know we had a few back and forths, but I like that, to be honest with you, because normally on the forum aspect, you don't really get to talk to each other. They just answer the questions and they'll kind of direct things at each other, but not really answer back. They can't. So I enjoyed that. And so I think overall it was good. Yeah. What about you?
I absolutely agree. It did get heated a couple times.
You're right. At the very beginning.
Right from the beginning.
Yeah. You got to make it fun and interesting, right?
I think the format is really great because it's not, you've got 60 seconds and stop.
Right.
It's just, it can continue on, and when it's over, it's over.
Right.
But I think the format was really good.
I think the format is great.
You know, a lot of the talk tonight was density. Where do you think that fell in your beliefs and thoughts?
I like your segue, Sally, but I'm not biting it. I just want to declare the one clear winner of tonight's debate, and there's one.
All right.
And only one.
And?
That's me.
You did pretty well.
Yes.
I am 100% certain when I run for past mayor on May the 3rd that I will definitely get that. Y'all take that to the bank. I am going to be voted straight out of here. So I thought the format was great. I really appreciate that each person gets to kind of, you get to hear the whole answer, and both of y'all did a great job of not getting in the way, and there's a little bit of back and forth, and I think that's good. But it let folks, if they want to go and they want to listen to it later, they can hear the whole opinion from each candidate, and I thought I went well. Yeah, but you asked questions about density, and I artfully dodged it.
Yeah.
To announce myself as the winner.
Artful.
Well, I want to ask, what about this? There's a difference between you've been mayor and then people that want to be mayor. You see this in the presidential election sometimes when one guy's like saying, I'm going to do this, this, and this.
Oh.
But you know what it's really like.
Yeah.
Was there anything, you don't have to be specific, but I mean, did you sit there going, oh man, that ain't going to happen?
Well, after the second glass of wine, I might have yelled a few things from the audience a little bit. Yeah, I was not burdened by having to run for office, so I didn't have to spin any stories or say any political things.
Did you feel like it ever got political over the discussion of what was being discussed? Did you feel like it was honest, or was it ever more political than it should have been? Or
it was mostly honest, and most folks were kind of talking about their points, but there were some things that were said that you can say in a certain way that could be misleading,
Did you feel like me or Billy ever let anybody off too easy? Was something that never answered? No,
y'all did a good job for sure.
Well, there was a couple times when they started getting into the weeds. I had a hamster playing ping pong in my head for a little bit.
Yeah, Billy checked out about 10 seconds into that. And that, I was like, every question, Billy's like,
I was checking my bracket. No, but there was a couple things where I felt like, and I want your thoughts on this, where you were there. No, I wasn't there. Well, we can clearly know who was there or not. And so there was a few differences of opinion, who was there, who voted for what, and all that kind of stuff. Is that something that we should worry about, or is that something that you just kind of like, okay, let's just let it go?
I don't think so. What you're describing is kind of a political discussion where it's like, I'm trying to make a point that people will remember, and that's a political argument. That's not to be confused with a logical or a rational argument. Those are different things. It's like when I make the mistake of arguing with my wife, she might be having an emotional argument, and I'm having a logical one, and we're talking past each other.
Right.
And so there were certain things that were said a certain way, and yeah, it could be I'm scoring political points, or what have you. I mean, those examples. Well, I think we can all agree that what the city needs has been sorely lacking for so many years. I mean, we all agree on this. I think this is not even up for debate, but strong leadership in the center seat. Like we just don't have that. I heard that tonight. It's not the first time I've heard it. Like, there is no leadership, today.
Yeah.
So we've got to make a change.
In all seriousness, what are you most proud of your time as mayor?
Well, Jay, I'm proud that I lived up to my campaign promise, which, if I could summarize an acronym, is DFIU, don't foul it up. And I say that
was the goal.
Somewhat jokingly and also seriously because, we moved here because Rockwall is an amazing city. And I tell people that there was a parade that I was asked to jump in front of. I didn't start the parade. I don't get credit for it, but it's a great parade, and I get to be in front of it, which that's a subject for another day. Mm-hmm. But the reason is because Rockwall is an amazing place to live, both from our schools, the people here. I mean, look at San Jacinto Plaza. I've got kids over here playing like a Norman Rockwell painting in downtown. Like, what a really cool place that we live. So my proudest achievement is that I didn't do anything that I feel like would screw it up. And a lot of times I've said, I want to make sure, I said this on your show before, I want to make sure that whatever choices we make today isn't going to screw Rockwall up for the next 40 or 50 years for those kids over there.
Right.
For our kids and our grandkids. And I feel really good about that. I feel like we've done a pretty solid job of that. And I don't have the burden of needing my name on a plaque anywhere. I don't have that problem. I'm just happy to make sure that we can make Rockwall or continue to be a great place to live, even in the theater district.
Right,
Billy.
Right.
The
We want the theater district just blow up.
I'm voting against that. My last act in office, for sure.
So what's
I
next?
want everybody to be wearing tuxes on Friday and Saturday night.
Very proud of that.
I am. I want that. I want the lights dimmed when there's time for the show to start again. I want all that going.
What's next for you, Trace?
Oh, I'm going to cook dinner on Monday nights. I get to listen to City Council on the iPad like Kevin Ballard does. He's like, I don't have to deal with that anymore. That's kind of a
shots.
Oh, wow. Got there, buddy. You're not shot. Do not shoot that. If Chris brought that, it's not a shooter for sure. Oh boy. I love also about Rockwall that on the square it's open carry because we're responsible adults. And
that's outstanding.
Thank you, Christopher.
Yes.
Very thoughtful of you.
Okay, one thing I really liked was a lot of times when you have debates, whoever's running for whatever office, they're always, well, this got to be fixed, and this has got to be fixed, and this guy messed it up. I love that when we talked about public safety, both of them were like, we're doing great.
Yeah,
we're doing
the
good.
fiscal responsibility.
Right, and the fiscal responsibility too. Yeah, that makes you feel good that, even though we didn't have any leadership for the last few years, it still seemed to go. It still seemed to go in the right direction.
That's what I was getting.
Yeah, but something happened. Like a blind squirrel finds that acorn, and things are going well.
My wife has been looking for white envelopes for at least 7 years.
Apparently, you've got.
That's been yet another disappointment in our marriage. The lack of cash under the table.
With these two candidates. I think so much has changed with local politics. I think it started with this last District 33 election. Things got nasty, local. And I feel like that could be the future. More arguments, more this side, that
even
side.
In school board run.
All of it.
Right.
That's when it really started.
That's probably true.
Where in your mind, where do these two guys really differ?
Oh, boy.
Well, clearly the density is an issue. I don't know if they differ, but they're, what would you say?
This is the thing. Like when you Jay, you mentioned the national politics and the feel of things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we feel from national media that we don't actually experience here in Rockwall. So if you think about the crazy spectrum of things, and look, I know some of the folks up here were like, we want low density. I'm like, that's fine. I want limited government because I don't want government in my business, and all of us own property here. And so on one side of the spectrum you have, hey, if Trace and Amy want to sell their home, we got to involve city council and say if that's kosher or not. That's one crazy end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is no zoning whatsoever. Like, we'll have a water treatment plant right next to the school playgrounds and the gun store, or the liquor store,
Yeah.
which is also a bad
Not
idea.
good.
So
Like
we're trying to
Houston.
find, like Houston, just like the thing, Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
and
Houston.
so we're trying to find the happy middle, and fortunately, I think everyone is kind of arguing of where the middle is, and they're very, very close together. So, but you know, I have my opinions on. Look, there's the theory of density, and there's things that trace once. And when Amy and I moved here, the last person before us wanted to roll up the drawbridge and be like, no mas. Like,
I
this
like
is a
when
great
you
little
say that.
town.
I love when you say
Nobody
that.
gets to come here anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we're the last people.
Right. We got in just in time. Yeah.
But then we got here, we're like, okay, now we're the last people. Let's roll the drawbridge up. And so, you know, you can make the argument that no more people. Okay, that in theory sounds nice, but in reality, it sounds a lot like the point of like, hey, Farmer John or Boyd family wants to sell their property, and maybe there's grown kids who don't want to buy the property or be in the cattle business. I don't think that some yokels who are elected for a short period of time, and I'm looking at myself when I say that, some part-time yokels should say that family can't sell that property that they own to somebody who wants to buy that property and do things in our city that I think are additive. Because, by the way, some developer bought our land where we live and developed it. They bought land here in downtown where Jay and Allison live, and they bought land downtown where y'all live. In the theater district, and
yes.
said this would be a theater district where we're gonna tuxedos and bow ties. But someone did that. Someone risked their
Yes,
family's
yes.
livelihood and their capital and said,
Yeah,
we're going
yeah.
to put homes here because Rockwall's a great place to live. And so if we take the stance of those people who we call developers are bad,
Right.
then I'm not sure that's a fair characterization. Now, I think that what we part-timers, we elected officials do, we should set standards and say, we don't want a water treatment plant next door to the kids' playground. That's fair. That's called zoning. We'll do some of that, and we'll set the standard. And if a developer or a future landowner wants to come in and buy property and says, you know what, Odom, I will play by your rules, I'll play by your standard, then we ought to probably say yes, in general, because we set the standard. Are there exceptions? Yes. But what we cannot do as elected officials in limited government, like very limited government, is say, I don't like you, I don't like your development, so the answer is no. Like, well, I don't think that's kosher, I don't think that's appropriate. I think that we should have done a better job of defining the standard and say if we wanted that standard there, then we should change the standard or the comp plan, as it were. But we shouldn't be in the business of saying, oh, you know what, Billy Quinton brought a development forward, and his last graphic design job was not so
Right.
sweet, so I'm just going to vote no on that because I don't
Right.
like Billy. I don't
Right.
care that it falls within the standards we set for you.
Just
Billy,
don't want it.
I just wish a guy had more hair.
Right.
And then I'd
Right.
probably vote yes.
Right.
I don't think that approach is okay.
And I think that was one of their big differences, obviously, was where
Sure.
Clarence was like, nope, the rules are the rules. We're not changing anything. They're rock solid. And of course, Tim was like, but there's going to be different. And
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
say people, you want to pull up the drawbridge, okay, but I still want the people that are going to make the town better to come, and that's a hard thing to decide.
Yeah.
But I it's almost like you want to say, well, we don't want the losers, but we want the winners. Well, you can't do it that way. It's hard.
It is.
It's hard to pick them.
A comment I know I've heard 1,000,000 times, you've heard 20 million times. I'm not against development, but what's the but? Have you ever found out what the but is?
Well, you can't define it. I know it when I see it, Jay. Like it's a certain some kind of density, or it's
Right.
it's that builder, it's not that builder, or I
I
don't
think
know,
they're just
Trace
against
talks too
development.
much, and that guy's better.
Well, it's
I
the
don't
old,
know.
what was this? Was it a senator that said that with pornography?
Oh yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know what it is, but
Yeah.
I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just, again, like I feel like we should set a standard and abide by it. And if we see a development that meets a standard, we should generally accept it. And if there's a good reason to say, you know what, you're not playing within the standard, or you're not fighting a good fight, and I'll give you a kind of a pointed example. I talked to a real estate attorney not too long ago, and there was a development case, and I said, hey, there was a case, and it looked like this. And council give a lot of pushback on it. And the phrase I heard was spot zoning. And he's like, that's called spot zoning. What does that mean? He's like, well, you decide on the spot, like, that's not okay. Even though it meets the technical requirements, we don't like it, so we're going to say no to it. Now, if I'm an attorney and I make fees off of fighting cases, I could say, I'm going to sue Rockwall City Council for that decision. I'll spend a couple $100,000. I'm going to win. And then that developer will make tens of millions more dollars on that tract with whatever I win in the lawsuit. Now, lawsuits are ugly. No one wants to be litigious. Litigation is a knife fight. But if I want to spend $500,000 to make 10 or 20 million, like, on paper, that makes good sense. Now, most developers, and I know a handful, they don't want to do that, right? They don't want to make people angry. But if we set a standard and they come in and say, I'd like to, here's my ball, I'll play by your rules. Like, I don't really like the cut of your jib. You can't play basketball with us, but these other guys can play ball. Like, I don't think that's kosher. I don't think that's right. You know what I'm saying?
Never heard that.
You never heard that?
Cut of your jib.
I love that phrase.
I swear you're older than me.
Yeah, exactly.
I am older than you, but
You have to know the cut of their jib.
cut of your jib.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start using that.
Use it correctly, Jay.
I will. I'll try.
Don't use it wrong. It could go. It could go really bad for you.
Boy.
Okay, the number one complaint of everyone we hear every day:
Yeah.
traffic.
Yeah.
Which I think I don't know if I'm weird or not. I don't think traffic's bad.
Whoa!
But I lived in Los
Where do you
Angeles for
live?
3 years, and
Look
I
at
think
this
everybody's
guy.
spoiled. I used to go 10 miles down the road and
He
take
did
an hour,
work
20
in Beverly
minutes.
Hills. That's fair.
That's
He worked
true.
in LA.
That's true.
I lived in
You know, I'm a
Seattle. I've
Southern
lived in
California.
Atlanta. Like, that's some of the worst traffic ever.
I guess it's bad. It's bad, but
Dude, how many times do we sit at a light forever when you see it changing and you're not moving?
This guy's
10,
never driven
20
in LA
minutes.
before.
I mean,
Yeah, we should be at a light for 20 minutes.
you need to move out to the country or something. This is
Rockwall used to be the country, Billy.
Right, it was.
Rockwall used to be the
It
country
was.
until Jay
But
Odom
it
messed
is-
it up.
Until Jay said traffic is cool.
Come on, never move in here.
and that got. I felt like I didn't get my true answer. Can
Yeah.
we do anything? I feel like no.
Well, apparently
Yes.
you don't want us to do anything. Everything's fine.
I'm good.
Yes, you can. First of all, fire that mayor we have today. Step one. Step two, roll up that drawbridge I talked about. But it's not just that bridge, it's the bridge that connects us to Kaufman County and Collin County and Hunt
Yeah.
County because, oh, by the way, if anyone has driven on 205, you know it goes into Kaufman County and Travis Ranch and
Right.
all these other large developments that we can't control in our county. They exist elsewhere, but the state highway goes through there.
Right.
Right? So you can't just say, oh, I'm done with traffic, we'll stop. Yeah, you can say no more density, which sounds to me like if I owned a piece of land, I can't sell it, which I don't think is the American way at all. So there's a balance here, right? And we have a process that we go through. We have the Rockwall County Road Consortium, where we get together as the cities in the county, and we say, hey, TxDOT, here's what we'd like to do. And I believe, because I'm fiscally responsible, although I've been accused of not being fiscally responsible, but I believe fiscally responsible because when we do these state roads and the city puts in 20 cents and the state gives us 80 cents, I mean, that's, 5-to-1 leverage, that's pretty good. Or the city could pay for 100% with all of our taxpayer dollars and do state highways and roads. That's an option. But I think there's a process to go through there, and there's not a magic wand. You can't wave a magic wand and say no mass traffic. Like, that's just not a thing.
It's
you can't
not gonna
say
happen.
no more growth. Like when Billy moved here, you were the last one. Done.
Right.
Nobody else can come here. And oh, by the way, to take that one step further logically, like my friend mentioned to me earlier, she's from Alabama, and she said, nobody here sounds like they've ever lived in a city that is shrinking and declining. Growth, to a degree, is generally good.
Right.
But you live in an area that's declining, it's terrible. So her part of Alabama, they live in Rockwall now. It's like, now wait a second, like
So they're fine with some more traffic because they know they're in a
a
place.
little bit,
Yeah.
right? Look, when I go for a little run once or twice a week, when I get off my lazy rear end at 5 a.m. when it's dark, there is not traffic. When I go out there at noon during spring break, there's a lot of traffic. And so the question becomes, okay, could we make it an infinity wide road and have infinity traffic? Sure we could. Could we make a 1-lane road and have terrible traffic all the time? Sure we could. It's always a balance, right? So we can't just say like, traffic bad, no moss houses. Okay, that's not real. You can't say, build an infinity lane road. That's also not real. So what's the balance? Do we build for surge capacity? Do we have a, 14-lane highway? Because at 2:45 p.m. on a school day, all of us are picking up our kids and traffic flows well, and then every other hour of the day, we've got all this land that's covered by concrete. Is that the answer?
Right.
It solves the traffic problem, but I don't think that's an answer. So how do you balance that? That's real problems.
You're right, and like I know where I live, as we mentioned, the theater district, but when people are picking up their kids at Dobbs, and it's 2:45 and I'm needing to get to the house, I'm in a panic because I got to get there before them parents start showing up because I can't get to my house.
Poor planning, Billy.
Yeah, I know. It is bad planning. But, and it ain't that easy to like, okay, everybody says 205, let's just widen it. Okay. Well, it takes
how far?
Yeah, how far? Yeah. Who's going to do it? And then
how much property do we steal with eminent domain to make that 10-lane 205? How much? Who pays for it?
Yeah. And then also, if we even get to the point, okay, we're going to fix it, well, now we're going to have worse traffic for the next 3 years because we got to, that's how you do it, you know? So if you remember back in the day when, before 30 was expanded, 30 was a nightmare coming through here across the bridge. It was a nightmare. And everybody, it's bad now. But I do go back to, but it ain't as bad as it used to be, you know? And you always kind of, you forget what things used to be sometimes. And is it bad now? Yeah, and I think it's something that it'll never be fully fixed. I don't think any town fully fixes it, but I do think right now it's a lot of people frustrated, but it's also a blessing because people want to live here.
Yeah.
Maybe we should make Rockwall a terrible place to live.
Right, that's the other part of it.
That would stop people from living here.
Well, that was kind of my point when they were voting on the school bond.
More crime.
I know one thing that could help is if we had crappy schools.
Right.
Tax values would go down.
Crime.
That's a good way to start.
Bad businesses,
We can stop telling the bad guys to go do their dope deals across over Dallas County and say, you know what? Come do deals in Rockwall. Thankfully, we don't do that today.
Yeah. We'll give you a tax break if you come to your dope deals here.
Thankfully, we have amazing cops here.
What was, one of the most heated moments of this evening was the IKEA tax.
Right off the bat, too.
Yeah, and that was, So I know you may know a little bit more. What happened? What is this all about?
Oh, Jay, this is real simple. I'm not running for office, so I don't have to score political points on this. I don't have to spin things, right? So when we say things like we're giving $11.5 million, I mean, there's a number that's $11.5 million. It's not we're giving to IKEA to another project. We're abating, and at one point there was a correction here and there, very quietly, that we're abating sales tax, and someone's like, "Oh, we're giving $8 million in sales tax." Like, no, we're not giving them. If they come here, we'll abate or rebate or defer 40% of their sales tax. We'll take 60% of it. That's an option. Another option could be we say no, and then we have $0 in sales tax coming in. That's an option. But we looked at the whole project, and look, there was a comparison to HEB, which is not really an apples to apples comparison for many, many reasons. I philosophically like to have things which attract, and bless you all for coming to Rockwall City and spending your dollars. Please keep doing it if you're good people. But if you come to Rockwall and spend your sales tax dollars, that sales tax not coming from us, it's coming from other folks. So when IKEA draws their, what I call a trade zone, it goes all the way to Little Rock. I was like, Little Rock is 5 hours. There's no way that's true. They're like, oh, no. They drive from Little Rock to Frisco today. So if we have a Rockwall IKEA, now we're attracting folks from Little Rock. So they drive in, they buy their furniture from IKEA, and then they eat some food and get some gasoline, and they drive back east. And that's generally good, but it's just not IKEA. IKEA was not the only piece. The piece was the entire project, which is that entire corner. And yes, there is multifamily, nice, expensive multifamily. I never paid rent that much in my life. Let's be clear what they expect to pay for rent in that multifamily. And also, generally, I'm not in favor of more multifamily in Rockwall. For a lot of the reasons mentioned up here, generally, this specific project in aggregate is better for the long term of Rockwall, for the sales tax reasons, for the quality housing and the quality retail that would attract on that a corner. And look, this is the northwest corner over there of 549 and I-30. That's a major intersection. It's on the east side of the city. So the more we can attract folks coming in to spend sales tax revenue with us, great. Is there a multifamily component? Yes, there is. But again, in general, I'm opposed to more multifamily. In this specific case, multifamily was a piece of a larger system. And the point of a system is how all the parts interact together. I don't buy a gear, I buy an automobile that has gears and transmission and wheels that get me to the grocery store.
Yeah.
I buy a system. So do I like gears? I don't like gears. I don't like oil. It makes my hands dirty. But I like a car, which is a system. All the parts interact together and they get me to the grocery store. In this case, the IKEA development, IKEA plus multifamily plus retail plus restaurants in that area was a good decision, and there wasn't another decision to be made, and there was not a lot of downside, because I always ask about the downside. Like, okay, well, what happens if we do this? Is this a bad thing? I don't know what's going to happen. So you can say apartments bad. Okay, fair. I live in apartments. A lot of us have. You don't set down roots there. Also, these apartments are nice, and like I said, it was a good decision, and we got some infrastructure. We got some roads and some sewage put in that wouldn't be there. So they're developing roads for us, and then they'll contribute to our tax base.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you, because one of the big negatives of multi-housing is you get the apartment complex pays property taxes, but all those people there are not paying property taxes, and so you're not. But you kind of counter it with the sales tax you're going to be getting from these people living there, right? Or they're having it as a part of this IKEA system.
Well, Billy, like the residents aren't de facto paying property tax, but the property owner who collects those rents will pay property tax. Yeah. Let's be clear on that.
Right, and that's what I said. But you have that many people that you can look at going, man, if they all had houses, though, if they were in houses, that'd be more money that we'd getting in instead of everybody in this one group and that one property paying it. But what I'm getting to is this. When they argued about the IKEA thing, I felt like Tim was like, they both voted against it, and I understand why they made their case. But then he got mad at Clarence for then voting for it after it was apparently voted in, right? Or voting. It was
approved.
This is where you get into the technicalities of things, right? This is where, if you're not actually an elected official or you're not involved in the process or the technicality of things, and by the way, that's the entire reason we have a representative government. So that when I term out in 59 days, I can go home and cook dinner for my family on Monday night and trust that the folks involved are going to deal with the minutia. So I don't have to worry about how this case is zoned. So we have elected officials to worry about the minutia of things. So, okay. So and Jay knows this very well from being on planning and zoning, there are certain things that are very, very technical. In theory, they sound, bad. IKEA, I don't like IKEA. You don't have to like IKEA. It's not about what you want. It's about what's better for the city in the long term. You don't have to like multifamily housing. It's about what's better for the city in the long term, and it's about up to us to understand the nuances of what that means. So you can vote for a zoning case or against, in the case of these two gentlemen who voted against it, which is fine.
Right.
And by the way, that's why we have 7 people and not 1 king.
Right.
We have 7 representatives, and I'm thankful for that. And you saw them disagree respectfully, and we do that a lot. And that's the way we're supposed to do it. But they disagreed on the approach of the zoning to say that we should allow this. Okay. Once it is zoned, then the question was like, is it a good financial decision to use Rockwall Economic Development Corporation, EDC, Economic Development Corporation dollars to incentivize this piece of development here?
Yeah.
And the EDC does a phenomenal job of doing an ROI, return on investment. And it's very, very clear what the ROI is. And so they laid out the tax incentives and the longer term implication for the city. And we all said, okay, that pencils out. Now you could make an argument, a counter argument, a counterfactual saying like, okay, HEB didn't need any of those things. I'm like, but HEB is not on the table. That was another thing. That was an entirely different deal That's a straw man. We have this today, which is beneficial for our city in the long run, and there's little downside, except for the idea of multifamily being bad because people that live in apartments are bad. I don't buy that, especially when I saw the rent prices, which are astounding.
It is just
okay?
Right.
And yes, is there more traffic? Yes, there's more traffic, but I'm more worried about traffic at Travis Ranch than I am about traffic at 400 apartments on the east side of Rockwall on I-30, right? So you can argue about the theory of a thing, but I am arguing about the reality of the specific technical thing. Because I'm not running for office.
Right.
So
Well,
I
and
don't
that's
have
the
to
thing
worry about that.
That I agreed kind of with both, because I felt like Clarence was saying, listen, yeah, we both voted against the zoning. It got approved. So now I need to make a decision on this approved thing.
That's right.
And how we disperse all the taxes and all these and all that. And so I can see it's kind of like what we need to do in all of politics is, instead of just constantly complaining, I hated that,
punishing.
once it's in, okay, now what's my best option
No,
now?
Billy.
I know,
Billy.
I
You're
know.
so
There's
pretty.
logic.
Listen,
I'm so green.
You are playing a logic game. This is a political game.
understand.
It's not logical.
I understand.
Oh, you're so
right,
pretty.
right. I know.
I appreciate you. I
Now,
do.
Trace, would you be so bold as to say who you thought came across better tonight?
Oh, came across better. I don't know.
If you didn't know them, who did you like better?
Nah, I'm not answering that, man.
I knew
Come
you were
on.
going to answer that.
You know, I appreciate your asking. That's pretty bold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I'm not even answering
know.
that. Yeah.
Well,
I'm
y'all
not
can
sure
do a
I
word
know.
count later.
That's
I know
my
who won
point.
the word
Yeah.
count. But
I thought both made
I think both
great
did really
points,
well.
and I
Yeah.
thought both were pretty good at certain levels, at different levels of stuff. You know,
we're this close together, right? There's
Yeah.
a spectrum
Yeah.
of
That's the
crazy. We're
that's
all
the thing.
right here.
You're right. Yeah.
And look, thankfully, after the weak leadership in the middle seat is gone, there will be one more vote of 7 that can also be a 1/7 leader, like, you know.
No,
but,
the candidate that wasn't here tonight, do you know him at all? No one seems to know much about him. What do you?
I don't, and I applaud him for stepping up. And Adam, if you're listening, first of all, it takes a lot to step up and run, and I hope that you continue to be involved. I think that's phenomenal. Anyone who gets involved, y'all, you know, Billy's involved in the community for many, many years. You know, Jay's involved. He's serving on planning and zoning and HPAB. Like, anyone who gets involved, it's pretty selfless. Like, you're giving back to the community in which you live, and I think that's admirable. So anyone who does that, great. And whoever doesn't win, I really, truly, in my heart, hope that they will stay involved in what happens here.
And that's the way I always look at it too, man. It's one thing it's a big deal to get in the arena. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always say, I do so many political campaigns for people, and they always say, well, when are you running? Never. Never. I've seen what y'all have
You're
dealt
way
with.
smarter than the rest of us.
Because I'm very comfortable doing this kind of stuff, but a bunch of people's lives don't depend on my decision when I'm doing this. And I'm not confident. But these other people are so, you know, confident, and that's great that they're going to get in the arena. They have ideas, they want to do it, even if I disagree with them. Anybody, it's like, man, that's a big step, and I love it that these people are doing. We need all those people. And you're right, the people that lose, and I've been with, you know, luckily not a ton of them, because of QBallDesign.com if you want to run your campaign.
QBallDesign.com.
But when you lose that campaign, my only thought is, please don't bail now. Please continue. You know,
I think you'll see that, Billy. I think that folks who have not won that particular race,
right,
continue to stay involved. I think we're in that camp. Like,
well, I mean, I think didn't
we won
W
and
lose his
lost.
first one when he ran way back in the day or something? All of them have lost at some point.
I think Ron Reagan lost a few
Right,
things.
right.
But I think just continuing to show up is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. That is.
It is
That's
a big- there's
most
a
of the
lot-
people that win are the ones that continue to show up.
There's a vast majority that don't show up, and that's fine. Like, but I'm just excited to see who keeps showing up.
And I wanted Adam to be here. Adam is different than our usual candidates, you know. He comes from a different culture and all that, and he had different ideas, and I really wanted him to be here to kind of talk about it. I mean, who doesn't love a guy that has that photo? I mean, my goodness, that's the greatest photo ever.
Awesome.
That's the greatest photo ever. So how we
change my photo?
I want that guy being our mayor, maybe. You know,
He's taking care of business.
He's got a good look.
Yeah.
Well, man, thank you so much for talking with us.
Yeah,
Happy
man.
to.
I want to
Always,
say thank you for your time as mayor. I think you did a lot of great things.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate what you've done.
I think it goes a long way when these two guys were debating and they really didn't have issues that they needed to address because of the leadership. I know you're joking around, but the good leadership that you've been, you know, any of the issues we did address were things that are not basically under the mayor's control at times.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not the mayor's control. Like, let's be 100% clear here, y'all. Like, it is city staff that makes our
really
city
things,
an amazing place to live. That's the city manager. That's Parks and Recs, Public Work, planning, our police chief, our fire chief, our HR lead. I mean, it's these folks.
They are very talented, knowledgeable
by the way,
people.
Y'all want to get mad, you yell at me. But you don't mess with my city staff.
Right.
All right? They make this place a great place to live for all of us. Leave them alone.
They're unsung.
Look, I'm transient. Like I was here, the city was here, I came in, I'm leaving, but city staff is still here and they're doing the Lord's work. And they make it a great place to live while the rest of us part-timers get on microphones and pontificate about how it should be run. Right. And once we're gone, city staff is still here. So to be very clear, Billy, and you know this, it's all about city staff.
Yeah.
And so they make our city amazing. They keep the bad guys out. They keep the fires out. They employ wonderful people. And they make it a great place to live.
I told Jay we shouldn't have got you. We should have got the city manager. I don't understand.
See, Mary does have a problem that I don't have. She does not like the microphone.
I know she doesn't.
I have no problem with microphone.
We've tried.
And she's awesome.
Yeah.
I want her running the numbers and running the city. She's the CEO of the city.
Yeah.
She's awesome. And her staff is fantastic.
Oh,
so
great.
Look, we are mere figureheads, and I'm thankful to do it. And I'm happy to represent the public and the citizens, because all of y'all are my boss, and the staff works for us.
We pay your salary, Trace.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah.
I love that line. All the whole $300 or whatever you get.
$350 American dollars per month pre-tax.
So you answer to me.
So you're going to miss this salary. Yeah. That's probably the thing you're going to miss the most, right?
I don't know. Getting yelled at by 54,000 bosses who can't agree. Like,
see, I think you like that. I think you feed off of that. That's what.
But isn't it like? But you know, when you have your own business, and people always say this to me, this kind of goes down. We'll end it. Like, man, wouldn't it great to be your own boss? And I'm like, dude, I'm not my own boss. I've got 55 clients. I got 55 bosses. You know, I don't have. It ain't me.
Yeah. Also, you're married, so.
Yeah, and I'm married. Yeah, so I have no opinion. Okay.
Well,
and I got 55
matter.
bosses. Yeah, exactly. And everything that goes wrong is my fault.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
That's how it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's self-employment.
Yeah. So I had to apologize to Autumn for the whole Gaza Strip thing the other day. Because,
I loved her coming up on stage in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah.
That
scared me.
Some ladies attacking this guy.
I was like, what's
we
going
were like,
on?
security?
Yeah.
It's Autumn Quinton. She's fine.
Yeah.
Let her in. She's with the talent. So
Exactly. So, man, we appreciate you very much.
I
you so
appreciate what
much.
y'all do. I think this is a really great thing, and I hope we keep it up. You know, it's great for folks to, you know, they can plug in, they can pay attention to as little or as much as they want. And y'all offer the unvarnished, and so they can fast forward.
They can mute. A little rough around the edges.
There's a lot of muting going on.
It's like real life.
It's like real life.
Yeah. It ain't pretty. It ain't edited. You know.
No.
I said it ain't pretty about you.
Yeah, no, it's my end of it. It ain't pretty.
So we'll have you
Jason
back.
showed off more of his
We're going to have
tattoos,
you
I feel
back
like.
when you're running for senator.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I'm calling it.
Boy.
I'm calling it.
You're still doing this podcast
so
in
cool.
2057, and no.
Because you know, John Ratcliffe was not the CIA director until he got onto our podcast, and then of course magically he becomes
you notice
CIA
that?
director.
You know what?
A couple months later.
I mean,
So
Rock 30,
right.
director of CIA.
Right.
I mean, I'm not
Right.
saying that
Let's
correlation is
not-
causation, guys, but there's
the
clearly
evidence is right
something
in front
there.
of you. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. So if you run for higher office, we're here. Yes, that's it. Slam dunk. Thanks, man.
All right,
What show can I get on to not have to run for higher office? Because I want to be on that show.